Hello, so welcome back to my vlog. So for this one, I'm going to focus on my recent trip to Oxford, where I attended the launch of the World Access to Higher Education Network, very first of its kind, global network. So thank you very much to Neon, Graham and the team there for my invite to that. We also saw the launch of the Right to Higher Education Global Report there from UNESCO, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. And what was actually really quite fascinating was we really did have people from every corner of the globe attend. So really well done, Neon. What a great effort getting all of those people in the room. So hello, good morning, welcome back to my vlog. I am just in Paddington train station actually, which is very novel. The lovely Christmas tree behind me.
For my sins, I'm Professor Peter John and I'm the 13th principal.
Higher Education Network, so if you got on the wrong bus then
So on to my reflections. First and foremost is the threads of shared humanity. So I think one of the most striking aspects of the event was the recognition of, these universal hopes, values that really drive and underpin the work of fair access. So regardless of nationality, race, religion, creed, we're all united by these fundamental principles, and they're largely diversity, inclusivity, equity, and equality of opportunity. They're just the same wherever you are in the world. And these aren't just abstract ideals, they really are the foundations upon which I do believe, will achieve that transformative change in education that is currently being built around the world. So second up, shared barriers as well as obviously shared ambitions. So Roberta, who is the global lead for tertiary education and senior education specialist at the World Bank, gave a really fascinating presentation with lots of kind of global statistics in there. And one of the points that she made was in relation to inequality in tertiary education. This is high everywhere, wherever we look in the world. So really, expansion alone is not the solution to this. We really need to get to the root cause of what's driving this equality. And she also highlighted that there is this ideal of meritocracy in education that simply just isn't the case. So even for the smartest students kind of globally, wherever you look, being smart is it's just not enough. And Jamil also spoke about the same groups just not faring well wherever you look at this in the globe. And these are the equity target groups. So equity target groups are just the same wherever you look. So these are low income, females, minority groups, and people with disabilities. So, they're just the same wherever you look at this in the globe. And the other thing as well that struck me was there are barriers, but these can look very different and be more or less extreme wherever you are in the world. So book banning for women in Afghanistan, any states in America denying funding for equity in education, and then, a real kind of physical one in terms of a risk to students being assaulted when they're moving between campuses in Rwanda as well. So third up, global innovation in action. So really hearing about the incredible work that's happening in the different corners of the world was just really great, just to hear about what's going on in different parts of the world. So for instance, there are initiatives in Ghana that are redefining what it really means to support those first generation students with some community-led programs that address not just the academic needs, but also social, cultural and environmental barriers that students might face. And then hearing about these environments was just really fascinating within which, other teams are working in the world. So Dr. Romyen represented Southeast Asia, and she spoke about the diversity within their region, just within their region alone. So per capita income is $1,400 a year for people generally, in terms of what they bring in. So you had 10,000 islands and maybe only 1,000 of those islands inhabited, so really spread out, huge mountainous areas, and within that 68 ethnic groups. So, just really fascinating to hear about the diversity alone within certain areas. And then Dr. Christina gave some examples of what was happening over in Brazil. Now, what I took from that, she gave many examples, but the one that stuck with me was the fact that they actually use a quota system for enrolment. So about 50% of their quota are reserved for disadvantaged or underrepresented students as well. And this has really improved the enrolment rate for students from those backgrounds. And overall, they've seen gross enrolment rates go from 33% to 50% over the past years as well for them. And number 4 was the launch of the UNESCO Right to Higher Education report. So Emma gave a really brilliant presentation on this, really fascinating report. It also has a lot of case study examples included in there from across the world for work in this area. So I really encourage you to kind of have a look at that and just really explore those case studies and examples to get those specificities and the detail. So key messages coming from the report: financing is the biggest challenge to achieve right to higher education from across the world. So this is something that just came out really pertinently. So that was the first kind of summary point. And calls for free higher education have generally gone unheard largely, and they generally come from students. Improving participation rates of students from equity deserving groups should be legally mandated. The right to higher education goes beyond access, and we spoke a little bit as well in the conference about student success, and that also being really very critical. Combining policy measures increases likelihood of achieving right to higher education. More data is needed, and better quality really, to identify the students that we need to help and support, and really improving that baseline, which will support positive change as well in this area. And this was a topic that we kept coming back to in the conference, of how we identify these students and what markers we actually use for that. And then finally was the potential of digital technology to really support the right to higher education. The use of blockchain, AI, obviously appropriately and ethically harnessed, could be the game changer here, and could be something that could really move the needle for students. And final takeaway is collaboration. There is a real power in collaboration, particularly collaboration from across the world. So, coming together as a global community to improve equity and access to higher education. I don't really think you can get any more powerful than that. So my action for you is to really start by just reading that report, the UNESCO report, Right to Higher Education. Even if it's just the executive summary, to kind of just to give you some of the top lines. I'll try and find the link and share in the post for this, but I think that's a really good starting point. And also, just bring this up in conversations in your next access meeting that you might have, or a conversation with somebody where you're talking about, parity in education and the right to accessing higher education. I think we really create that power when we come together, and that was definitely something that I saw at the event. So finally, you can also sign up to my educator newsletter for like-minded people who are really kind of focused on this agenda and really wanting to improve access and equity in education. So for more updates and content like this, we do have lots more planned in the new year. So I'll put a link as well in this post. So please do go ahead and sign up. So hopefully you've enjoyed these takeaways and the latest vlog installment. And I think that's all for now. That's all for 2024. So I will see you in 2025.